If you're looking for the best laptop for video editing in 2022, then you're in the right place. In this video, we're going to start in the budget category and work our way all the way up to high end and talk about which one works best for you. Now, make sure you hang on to the end of this video because we're also going to have benchmark chart results as well as an explanation of the specs, so you don't want to miss out on that. Jumping into the entry-level video editing laptops, even for 1080p, I don't recommend anything below $600. That's going to be stuff like the Intel i3 mobile processors and the Ryzen 3 mobile processors, below 8 gigs of RAM, below 256 gigs of storage. It just is not enough to even do 1080p in my opinion. To do it comfortably, it'll be a lot of frustration, so that's just my disclaimer right off the bat. And also keep in mind that I have hands-on experience with 80% of these laptops. You're gonna see a lot of them inside of the benchmark charts here at the mid to end of this video. And so if you don't see one, it's just because I've yet to be able to get it into my studio, and so that's why it's not on the chart. I'm not leaving it out to be malicious or anything. The first laptop that I would recommend on the lineup is the Asus ZenBook 14. This is a fantastic pick. It has the Ryzen 5 5500U and the NVIDIA MX 450. So it's gonna be a slightly beefier GPU, not just having the integrated graphics. This one comes with 8 gigs of RAM. However, personally, I'm a big fan of 16 gigs of RAM, but if you're only doing 1080p video editing, then you would be able to get away with that 8 gigs of RAM. It should not be too much of an issue for you. From there, we go into the Lenovo Yoga 6. Great laptop with the Ryzen 5 5500U, just doesn't have that dedicated NVIDIA MX graphics card. From there, the Asus ZenBook 14 OLED. This is a great pick. It's got the latest i5 1240p CPU. That CPU has been showing great promise for 1080p and even some light 4K video editing. Don't recommend a lot, but maybe a little light in there. You do it occasionally for maybe social media or just personal use. From there, we have the Dell Inspiron 14-inch. That's the Ryzen version. That's the Ryzen 7 5825U and 16 gigs of RAM. I like this one, and this one made the list specifically for the 16 gigs of RAM. I think it's a great buy. It's going to give you more ceiling when running multiple programs at the same time, so that multitasking situation. Moving up to the entry-level mid-range laptops, these are going to be laptops that are capable of 4K video editing. Now, some of them have dedicated GPUs and some of them do not. The reason the ones without the dedicated GPUs can survive on this laptop lineup is because of the new i7 1260p. Now, those are the latest 12th gen chips from Intel. I've been testing them like crazy, and they can edit 4K. What I look for the most is smooth playback and pretty quick export times, and that is what I'm seeing. So you can get a thin and light Ultrabook and edit 4K. That is the first time I'm promising that and having good performance, because in the past I'd say, sure, you can get away with it, but it might be a little frustrating. But now with these latest Intel 12th gen P-series chips, it's awesome. It's very awesome. From there, we have the HP Victus with the dedicated GPU. If you want a little bit more power with your 4K editing, or maybe say you're doing motion graphics and you're pushing the limits of the computer a little more. It's not just basic video editing at that point. Maybe you have multiple cameras, stuff like that. Then you want the dedicated GPU in the Victus and the Legion 5. But as far as the Samsung Galaxy Book 2 Pro 360, great for some basic 4K, and the Lenovo Yoga 7i Gen 7, great for 4K as well. Now moving forward into the mid-range category, this is the Acer Swift X 14-inch, which I have right here. Great laptop. It's making more and more improvements. They have matched this laptop with a 1260p and a dedicated GPU. I'm really excited about this laptop this year. Last year they had it with the Ryzen series mobile processor. I thought that was a bad decision. So they went with this year, not because I told them to, but because they did, and I'm thinking it's a great decision. The Dell Gaming G15 i7 12700H, one of my favorite processors of the year so far, and the RTX 3060. Moving forward, one of my favorite laptops of last year was the Asus ROG Flow X13. The reason being is this laptop had a lot of power, but also on iGPU mode, it had great battery life, around 12 hours of battery life for productivity tasks, and then around 10 plus hours of battery life for the streaming on YouTube or watching movies, whatever it might be. So that to me was a great happy medium laptop for productivity and video editing. So really cool choice, and it's so thin and light. If you're curious about the exact pricing and availability of any of these laptops as we're heading through this video, you can head down in the description below and click one of those links. Now, if you do make a purchase, I'll get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. But that's absolutely what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. So I'm very grateful when you guys use those links. Next laptop is the Dell XPS 13 Plus. This laptop has not made my lineup in the past because the Intel mobile chips were not up to snuff in my opinion, but now they are. The i7 1260p in that laptop will give you great performance, thin and light on the go activity, solid. Next is the Apple MacBook Air, another laptop I've not recommended in the past until this time. Now, if you're getting this laptop, do not get it with any less than 512 gigs of storage. There's been a lot of talk online about the fact that the 256 bottlenecks. The reason being is because most of that storage is going to run your operating system, and so it doesn't have enough storage left to efficiently run the rest of the processes. Lori from TechNotice goes really deep into why this is. I'm not going to in the moment. All I have to say is, for my recommendation, 512 at a minimum, 1 terabyte at a recommended. But the problem is that puts your laptop at around $1,600 to $1,700. And so that's no longer an affordable laptop. It becomes now an expensive laptop. And at that price point, you could jump up into the mid-range gaming laptops with something like the G14, which absolutely crushes it in 4K and 6K video editing. You could jump into a G15 or even an M16 at that point. But if you're an Apple fan, then I understand. They also have the MacBook Pro 13-inch, which is a good option, but then again, it still has the M1 chip. So you might as well get the Air with the M2 at this moment because it's going to offer a little bit more performance. So tomato, tomato, again, you're kind of deciding what you want, what you don't want. I am neither an Apple fanboy or a Windows fanboy. If you think I'm one or the other, go ahead, shout it out. Let me know in the comment section. But I try to be extremely neutral, unbiased in my reviews and in my lineups. Now, next would be the HP Omen, the Zephyrus series. All of them are great. My favorite right now would probably be the M16, just because I'm a big Intel fan at the moment. They're doing really great stuff with their chips. But if you want battery life, the G14 would be my recommendation because that HS series processor, the Ryzen 9 6900HS, kills it with battery life on IGPU mode, whereas the i9 12900H on the M16 just does decent. It does not do as good as the G14. The Asus ROG Strix G15, one of the best bang for buck laptops of the year, including the Legion 5i Pro. Both those laptops tote the i7 12700H, which are coming in at around the $1,500 price point or so. And so the performance that they pack at the price is really unbeatable. And I'm going to include the G14. It's a good price as well. Next is the Lenovo Legion 7 and 7i Slim. One of my favorite laptops of last year. I love the performance matched in the thin and light package, the aesthetics, the keyboard. It just was a great package. And now it's a 16-inch model, which last year it was a 15. Can't wait to get my hands on that. It's going to be an awesome laptop to look at, the new iteration of the laptop. It's killing me. I haven't been able to get one from Lenovo yet, but we'll get there. Lenovo Legion 5 Pro and 5i Pro. Actually, the 5 Pro, if you can pick that up from last year with the Ryzen 7 5800H and the RTX 3060, that laptop was just a dominating machine. It was insane that it's still keeping up to laptops that are being released this year. So if you can find the Legion 5 Pro with a Ryzen 7 5800H and an RTX 3060 or 3070 on sale, get it. It is such a great laptop. All right, the Apple MacBook Pro lineup. Now, the reason that Apple MacBook Pros are great, in my personal opinion, is the battery life and maximum performance while unplugged from the charger. The downside to Windows laptops is they have to be plugged in to reach their full performance potential. Apple, with their new chips, allows you to be on the go, not plugged into a charger, and getting full performance out of the laptop, and also great battery life, okay? That is my biggest testament to what Apple is doing. However, at the price point, they are much more expensive than their Windows counterparts, and they're a little more bottlenecked in regards to the softwares that they offer. So let's say you're somebody who also does 3D modeling in tandem with video editing. Well, you might not be able to get some of the softwares native. You could do parallels and download Windows, but that ends up being kind of finicky. And so for me, if I were to buy an Apple MacBook Pro, it would be for the on-the-go performance matched with the battery life, because I can get just as good a performance out of Windows laptops. And if you think differently, well, then I'm going to call you an Apple fanboy, because it's just not true. Windows laptops do provide equal performance. They just don't have the on-the-go battery life and full performance while unplugged from the charger. If that is a hindrance from you, then I don't know what your workflow is, because I'm almost always ready to plug into the wall. Anyway, Again, that's where you might think I'm a Windows fanboy. I'm not. I'm just trying to be very honest and cut through the baloney crappy. All right, next up. Mid-range to high-end laptops. The Acer Predator Triton 500, a beast of a laptop with an i9-12900H and RTX 3080 Ti. Fantastic. The Gigabyte Aero 16, one of the best laptops of the year that nobody seems to give two rips about. I don't know why. I don't know why people don't like the Gigabyte Aero 16. I have one here. I tested it, and it was great. They redid the chassis recently, and so it didn't have that weird like two-part assembly. It's a nice aluminum build all through, one big piece of aluminum for the top keyboard deck. It's just a great buy. It's color accurate. It's got a nice keyboard. It's got a really, really rigid hinge, so it's very durable. And it just seems to get ignored. I really don't understand. If you are not interested in this laptop, tell me why. Why does this laptop not interest you? It was even on sale recently at Best Buy for like $1,300. I was like, what? What a sale. So anyway, again, talking pricing, all the links will be in the description below for any of these models. So if you're curious, if you want to grab one, gives me a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. That's what keeps the channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. Now, the next one is the Asus ProArt StudioBook 16 OLED right here on the table. This laptop is my favorite laptop of the past year. Beats out anything, but the problem is the availability on them is extremely difficult. So I'll link it up. If it's available, just buy it. Buy it and just keep it because it's a legendary laptop. I'm kidding. Don't just buy it because it's available. But if you need a laptop, it is a fantastic pick. The dial, man, like this dial is actually no joke. It really does help with your productivity. The only thing that I didn't like was the buttons on the trackpad. I wish it was just a full click trackpad, but that was me being really picky because it's a great laptop. All right. Next up on the lineup is the Razer Blade 15 base and advanced model. Personally, I'm not a big fan of Razer Blades. I think they're not really worth the price to performance. They are like kind of the MacBook Pro of Windows, but I just have never been a big fan of them. It's just not my scene. The MSI Creator M16 would be a great buy. Solid processor, great GPU, 32 gigs of RAM. It'll be great performance for you. The Dell XPS 15, ThinkPad Extreme Gen 5, Asus Republic of Gamers Zephyrus M16, and then the MSI Titan GT77. That's a monster of a laptop. I got one in for review. It weighs like over 7 pounds, and it's just this massive computer. It's truly like a desktop replacement. It's like a semi-portable desktop. It's insane. I personally wouldn't buy it just because it's so big, but it could really be a fantastic laptop for somebody who wants a big screen, a really nice Cherry MX keyboard. It's a neat laptop. It just personally wouldn't fit my interest, but it's pretty awesome. All right, next let's go ahead and quickly jump into some benchmark export time results. Export times are kind of finicky. Some of the best laptops can actually get kind of slower export times, but if your export times are like really, really important to you, then the Zephyrus M16 is great. The Gigabyte series, the StudioBook Pro 16, the Asus Zephyrus G14 and G15, the Lenovo Legion 5i and 5 Pro, the Acer Swift X is really great, the HP Omen, the HP Victus, they all have good export times. If you're getting a laptop with a dedicated GPU for 4K video editing, you're going to have good export times, especially in this day and age. 4K performance on most mainstream gaming laptops is going to be good. It's when you get up into the 6K that you start to really get picky with the laptop you need. Because playback on 4K, if you have a dedicated GPU and a powerful processor, you're going to have 0 drop frames on 4K playback. However, you move into 6K, B-RAW, and red footage, that's where the laptop gets a little more picky. The newer laptops with the 3070s are going to be my favorite sweet spot. So you get like an i7-12700H with an RTX 3060 or 3070 Ti. B-RAW, you're going to have about the zeros for the RTX 3070 Ti and RTX 3080 Ti. 200 to 400 for the RTX 3060, and then for the RTX 3050 Ti, you'll probably have in, say, the thousands, like 1,000 to 2,000 range. So that's for B-RAW. For red footage, it's really hard to get down to 0. I've yet to see a laptop fully get to 0. I've seen in the hundreds for drop frames at full quality, but really we're still hovering around the 1,500 to 2,000 range for most RTX 3060, 3070s, and i7 processors as well as i9s. That translates into the Ryzen 7 and Ryzen 9 as well. I've just had more Intel laptops in my studio. It seems like Ryzen's a bit slower on the gun getting all of their products shipped into the laptops and then to consumers. As promised, if you're curious about the exact specs of a laptop, I've linked that up here in the YouTube cards above. Otherwise, links if you're ready to make a purchase, likes if this video has brought you some value, and subs if you don't want to miss out on the future uploads. I'll see you here in the next one.